Yes.
Go. 3, 2, 1, go.
Hello everyone and welcome back to round 4 of the Gibraltar Junior Festival. I'm
Yes.
excited to be here. I'm Grandmaster David Howell and I'm joined by Grandmaster Stuart Conquest.
Hi, good morning, everyone. And thanks for joining the show. So,
Yeah.
David, we've got lots of exciting chess to look for. They've got 2 rounds today, rounds 4 and rounds 5.
That's right. Another hectic day. They
Yes.
had another double round day early in the tournament. They're all still full of energy though. I saw them this morning. We played against them last night.
We did.
And yeah, they all seem to be on form. Some interesting games today I've already seen and I'm hoping for more exciting chess.
So we're going to look in at the top board, start with the board 1 of the under-16s.
Yes, that's right. So we're going to join the game Revaliente Montoya against Garrido Alton.
Very good pronunciation, David.
Yeah, I've been working on it.
Good.
I still need some Spanish tips from you, Stuart.
Oh, well.
But yeah, I mean, we've been meeting some players as the week's gone on, and I think both of these guys played against us yesterday, and they both did very well. So, okay, we're going to jump into the board 1 game now. We'll just join the current position. So White has played knight c3. So this game's going quite a slow pace, I'd say.
Okay.
We've just left the opening, both sides have castled.
No, they've been playing about 45 minutes. I mean, they started at 10 o'clock,
so-
so about 45 minutes.
Yeah, and one thing that strikes me immediately is that White has played the move g4 at some point, which is very aggressive. Not sure it fits in with the rest of his setup, but it's still early days. I guess at some point White might be thinking of playing h4
Goodness me.
and g5, but
You'd rather have that pawn on g3, David?
I'd rather. Yes, I like my king to be very safe before I decide when to attack. But I'm not sure White's completely finished development, especially on the queen side.
Right.
His bishop's still at home on c1. So I'm not sure any direct attack will work anytime soon, but still early days. And likewise, Black has to decide how to counter a potential g5 move. As Black, I'd be thinking of queen d7, rook d8.
Absolutely, yeah.
And whose position do you prefer?
I have to say, I'll be very happy as Black. It's nice to have Black when, I mean, Black's done nothing wrong. What has he done? He's got developed, he's got castles.
Exactly.
White's got a bit of space maybe, but we could have a look from the start, yeah.
Yeah, so just to quickly play through, we start with a Reti, very flexible opening for White. Black's played with a reversed London system, I guess.
Right.
And this move knight f to d2.
That's slightly unusual, maybe?
Slightly unusual. I guess White's trying to play e4 in one go, as opposed to preparing it with knight b d2 and rook e1 and a few other moves. But yeah, it gets in the way of the bishop on c1, as we mentioned earlier, and g4.
Wow, g4 there, David, goodness me.
Yeah. I'm not sure I would have played that first. I would have started with, knight to c3 maybe.
Right.
Maybe
Sure.
king h1, queen e2.
Mm-hmm. Keep the
Humans
opponent guessing a bit.
Exactly. I like to tease my opponent, keep him wondering about my plans. I mean, I guess Black will try and play on the queen side at some point. So, for example, after g4, Black released the tension immediately. I would be tempted as Black to just kind of wait and advance my queen side pawns,
Right.
just to keep the tension. Often this bishop on h7 becomes very strong if the center does become open later. But
So as Black here, you wouldn't be scared at all, really, about what White's doing on the king's side?
not really. I mean, White's king is also on that king side. And if we think about the move g4, White's king is as open as Black's for sure,
Right.
if not more so.
Okay.
Early days.
Yeah, but a very committal move g4 as well, isn't it?
No, that's right. But it shows the ambition.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're on board 1 in any tournament with only a couple rounds to go, then that's the time to go for it. So I like the spirit behind g4,
Absolutely.
if not the move itself.
Absolutely, yeah.
No.
Well, yeah, fair point.
It's interesting. It's interesting. And
So what's happened? He's played knight c3?
Yes, that's right. And Black has just played bishop to b4.
Mm.
So, yeah, another reason I'm not so keen on the setup for White. This e4 pawn is slightly loose. It's targeted by the knight and the bishop.
Of course, there's queen d4 check as well, isn't there?
Queen d4 check might come. That's right. And bishop b4 is intended to undermine this e4 pawn even further by exchanging off this knight on c3. And I'd be reluctant here to play the move e5 as White, just simply again because it activates this h7 bishop. So Black could think about either taking on c3 first or just moving the knight.
That's a monster bishop on h7, isn't
It's
it?
a monster bishop. I mean, something like knight d5, and White has some questions to answer about the c3 pawn, and
I don't like it at all.
I don't like it at all either. So
Okay, all right. So
It looks like the higher seed, Garrido out on as black,
yes,
has come after the opening. Very
he's a
happy.
strong player. He's played in this tournament many times, David, and he's always finishing up on or either first or near the top. You know.
Okay, so he's got form. He must like
Yes.
playing in
I
Gibraltar.
think he may be the top seed in the under 16s. He's 2-2-3-1. He may be even the top seed. He's certainly
Okay.
one of the top seeds.
I mean, yeah, that's very, very strong for someone so young. So maybe this is a game we can come back to.
Of course,
we
yeah.
can examine the other.
Should we have a look at board two?
The other leaders. Yeah. So on board 2 we have Cuellar Montes against Gogia. So Aman Gogia is black.
Yes.
And yeah. So if we jump to this game, first thing that strikes me is black has another monster knight.
Yes, indeed.
On d4. So that's a square we'd call an outpost. Our opponent's white's pawns can't displace this knight, and it's protected very nicely by 2 pawns itself.
Hey, you know what I'm thinking? I'm wondering if White's going to play this G4 move, the same move that we've just seen in the other game. What do you think?
It's on your mind now, Stu. It's
Absolutely.
just burrowed in there. G4.
Yeah.
Again, I'd be not reluctant, but I'd be slightly worried about my own king. I'd be thinking as black now, playing a move like b5,
Right.
perhaps trying to get this bishop to b7,
Right, yes.
where it will keep an eye on the white king, keep you honest. But no, g4 is
Well.
it's tempting. I mean, once you've said A, once you've played f5,
have to
a
say
couple
B.
of moves ago, exactly.
And then C, D, E.
E might be getting checkmated, but
Yeah.
you might deliver checkmate yourself. So yeah, and b5. You can imagine something like g5.
Well, yes.
and this is what we want to see, isn't it? But I mean, again, we should mention that white is the higher seed here by I think 400 points almost. So he's definitely up against it. But
Well, Black's having a great event to be rated 1754 and be on board 2.
no, exactly. And to be honest, I like black's position at the moment, at least.
Yeah.
I mean, black could also be thinking of playing e4, so perhaps white should be thinking of stopping that one.
But if
Not
knight
sure
F2,
how.
can Black take on F5?
Yeah. So greedy, Stuart.
Hmm.
But yeah, I think you're right.
Yep.
You can take an f5, also with the bishop, perhaps.
That's why I wanted to play G4, David.
That's prophylactic thinking.
Yeah.
I like it.
It's just
So-
a positional move.
No, exactly. G4, yeah, maybe. E4 as
No,
well.
I'm not.
And,
Yeah.
and likewise, if knight e4, then black could be
Pawn
thinking-
grabbing?
Yeah, I'm not sure about immediately, but I mean, there's some tactics here. If knight takes f5, there might be rook takes f5, and knight takes d6
All right.
with a fork. But
Nice and sharp.
yeah, very sharp.
Nice and sharp.
Especially for a morning round. I mean, these kids are already going for it. Bishop takes f5 could be a move here. Perhaps.
Did
Maybe
you
knight
play
takes
like
f5.
this when you were young?
I've always been a very boring player. I like my fixed pawn structures, my symmetrical. No, actually, when I was younger, I was told that I was a very aggressive, an attacking player. But as the years have gone on, I've preferred more rational positions. I mean, here I'd already, I'd be spending a lot of time on the clock purely because I'm not familiar with these kind of pawn structures.
No, it's a strange position.
Exactly. Yeah. Both sides have their trumps. I mean, as we mentioned, this knight on d4 is very strong. But at the same time, white has the kingside majority, more pawn shelter in front of the king. So
I quite like Black there for now. But,
Yeah,
yeah.
black's got a great position. And yeah, as the underdog, I know I'll be cheering for him. So
Good. All right. So how about ball 3?
okay, so yeah, let's take a look at the other contenders. So board 3 is between Dion Kruvenko and Salvador.
Now I can tell you,
Perez-Beltran.
Dion is from Estonia,
Oh, okay.
and he came here last year. He's here with his mum. They came last year, had a great time. They come back, so they're very welcome.
Yeah,
So
there
nice
seems to
to
be a
have them
trend.
here.
A lot of players who come here, they can't resist coming back. So it's always nice to see. And I mean, he's clearly doing very well after the first three rounds. He's up on board 3.
Yep.
And again, he's the underdog here by 300 points.
What do you think, David, in general about young players' ratings? Because they can often be very deceptive, can't they?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I know that even when I play now, I try not to look too much on my opponent's rating. It's better to focus on playing good moves, simply.
Yeah.
And it can affect you. I mean, if you're thinking you need to win simply because you've seen a number next to your opponent's name, then it can cause you to lose objectivity.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, especially when they're young. I mean, they have these huge K factors in rating.
That's also true. They can
So-
leap up in 6 months. They can be 200 points higher.
Exactly.
Or more.
I've seen a child gain 400 points in 1 month and then lose 300
You're
the next month.
joking.
I'm not
400
joking.
points
400
in 1 month.
points. I mean, it's often when they're starting very young and they'll get maybe 8 out of 9 in the tournament. They'll be beating all these higher rated players, but then they realise, oh, actually, the ratings maybe overtaken their level of progression, and
Right.
it takes a while for that to balance out. But okay, for us, it's a useful indicator occasionally. But as a player, it's very difficult to think about these things too much. And yeah, if we look at the position in the game, I mean, I quite like White's position, to be honest.
Okay. Is white to play?
It's White to play, yes. The pawn on d4 is under a bit of pressure. But I mean, I'd even be tempted to
Yes, I thought you might say
spend a
that.
tempo playing knight b3, hoping that black fixes the queen side, and then even if
chop
we
back.
have to retreat, at least we've solidified the d4 square, and now White has time to maybe start getting organized, start attacking this backward pawn on e6.
Right.
I mean, a question might revolve around whether black can play the move e5 a bit later on. Not immediately, because, oh, maybe d takes first. I mean, this d5 pawn looks a bit weak. But
It does, yeah. I know there's f2 as well.
and f2, yeah. I mean, it's a very complex position.
Well, what about knight f1 here, David?
Knight f1, yeah. You're not worried about me grabbing on d4?
Well, I saw bishop g5, but I'm not sure now.
G5.
No, I might be walking into something.
I don't know. I mean,
Yes,
maybe
I can
not.
see there's some trouble here. Yep.
Maybe knight takes
Exactly.
d4. But it's not
And queen
completely
f2.
clear. But there are some tactics.
You're trying to
in the
checkmate me?
position. I'm trying to. Black does have a threat here. A big threat with queen g1 checkmate. I think you'd see that one, Stuart.
I probably would, yeah.
You'd stop me with a move like knight e3, and the game would continue. But black would have won 2 pawns here. The queen on f2 is very actively placed, so knight f1, I'm not sure would
Might not work. Yeah.
quite cut it, but would we release the tension here? I'd be reluctant, but
Good question. Looks like quite a nice French, doesn't it, for black?
yeah, I mean, the more I look at it, the more I think actually black is quite well coordinated.
Yep.
Black's very well developed, actually. I mean, it's just this bishop on c8 and the rook on a8, which are out of the game at the moment, but they'll soon join the fray. Knight b3. Knight e4, perhaps.
I like that. I like that, yes.
Yeah. So White has a big decision to make about how to maintain the center. And
Has he played knight b3? No.
I don't think so. If we jump to the live position, then okay. So if we just check what's been played, yeah. So the position is still after queen takes f6.
Okay,
and
so that's White to play.
White is still thinking about
Yep.
knight b3, knight f1, maybe d takes c5. Lots of options. I mean, maybe even the move queen e2. Just so that we can meet any captures with either queen takes e6 immediately or knight f3 first.
Yes.
And the knight will jump to f3, and White will be doing okay. So maybe queen e2 as well. Lots of options for
Yeah,
White.
yeah.
And
Okay.
the
Also
game's-
attacking b5, David.
Oh yeah,
Little double attack.
I'll pretend I saw that one. Yeah, b5.
Yeah, that could be the move.
Maybe queen e2. Wow, accidentally stumbled on a decent idea. Maybe. For
I used to have
White.
that. Reminds me of one of these old books by somebody like Irving Chernev or Fred Reinfeldt. It was all these.
Sure.
I still remember it's like page. Or you can almost visualize the pages.
Double
I'm sure you have
attacks
the same.
and-
And it was
yeah.
like just a chapter of 20 positions for double attacks
Yeah.
or discover check. Or,
No,
you know,
sure.
and it's just like bread and butter, isn't it? But it's so
But yeah, I mean,
valuable lessons that you learn.
exactly. We often get carried away with our calculation that we forget to take a step back and think, oh, which piece isn't protected? B5 is undefended. E6 is only defended once, so yeah, double attack, Stuart.
Yeah.
Queen e2. I mean, I've been telling the kids that a lot this week. We've been analysing some games together, and a lot of them occasionally forget that they've put a piece on an undefended square and they leave it there for a long time, and often it will get snapped up or attacked before they
Loose pieces drop off, isn't it? Is that the,
loose pieces drop off. I think
yeah.
that's a night.
John Nunn? I think it's John Nunn, yeah.
LPD, that's right.
Excuse me. Yeah.
So
Good.
okay, so this is board 3. If we join board 4, so still among the leaders here.
Yes.
So board 4, Cesar Maestre against Lena Velade.
Yeah, two of the Spanish players.
Two of the Spanish players, that's right. And okay, we're not going to talk about ratings too much, but yeah, more even matchup maybe here.
Yes.
150 odd points separate the players, and Yeah, I mean, they've been progressing very quickly through the opening. If we just take a look from the start,
Right.
it's an opening that I've got quite a lot of experience with myself. I've been playing these Englishes, especially from the white side. It started with 1d4, but it's transposed into
Okay.
an English opening. And the move knight takes knight takes c6. Sorry, it's a bit of a rare one. Often white will be playing knight b5 or knight b3,
Right.
just to maintain as many pieces as possible. White has slightly more space with the pawn structure, potentially with this pawn on c4. So it's nice to keep pieces on the board. And after knight takes c6, black gets an extra pawn closer to the center.
Yes.
But after castles, d5, knight c3, bishop b7, kind of resembles a reversed Grunfeld pawn structure. Black has a very strong center, but white has...
An opening your next person, David.
Well, it's an opening I'm too scared to play nowadays as black. Everyone was beating me for a while. There's a lot of theory in the Grunfeld. Here it's a similar pawn structure, and the ideas are similar. White will attack the center from afar with pieces often.
But black has such a strong center in d5 now, doesn't he?
Exactly. And I think that's why white decided to play the move e4 immediately to
Very
try and
true.
break that center. I mean, e4 is
Logical.
a very, very logical move. Very principled. I mean, if your opponent has a strong point, it's nice to undermine it. And black decided to castle rather than taking on e4.
Okay, because he's got rook d8.
Yep. So after e takes d5, rook d8, white decided to get out of this annoying pin with queen c2.
Yep.
And after e takes d5, bishop e3. Clever move.
Interesting.
Queen c7 was played. So I think white's idea is that d4, unfortunately,
LPDO.
yeah, LPDO, loose. The loose rook on a8 does drop off, and this fork is not quite enough to guarantee black enough compensation here. So, yeah, bishop e3, clever move.
I'm enjoying this game.
Queen c7,
Quite a logical game so far.
very
I'm
logical.
seeing it, yeah.
I bring very high quality so far. And LPDO there,
Well,
queen on c7. I mean, it doesn't work immediately, but I'd be thinking, okay, white's played the move rook ace to c1.
sure.
And white is now planning ideas like knight takes d5. So, for example, if black were to play a slow move, like h6, then knight takes d5, attacking this loose
Yes,
piece
yes.
on
Oh
c7,
dear.
queen takes queen, and white would throw in the intermediate move, knight takes e7 check, king moves, rook takes queen.
Zwischenzug.
Zwischenzug, that's right.
I think we have a German in the audience. We have a German member of the audience, yeah.
Yeah. How's your German, Stuart?
In between with my German is very good, David.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah, so knight takes e7 would be a very nice Zwischenzug, a between move. And yes, after rook takes c2, another loose piece on a8 again. So white would remain at least a piece up. So big threat in the position. I think rook a c1 was the last move played. And
Right, okay.
Black
Well, I
is-
like the way white's handled this.
yeah, that's right. I mean, thinking about it, maybe the c7 square wasn't the best for black. I mean, maybe a5 was a slightly safer square,
Yes.
or a6 perhaps, but c7, it's a bit of a target now.
Absolutely.
C7, the black queen. I'm not sure how to stop knight takes d5 even, other than moving the queen now.
Queen a5.
Queen a5. No, I mean, I actually have a lot of respect for players who can admit they've made a mistake the last move and can correct that. Often I've played the wrong rook to the wrong square and thought, actually, I should move it back. And
We've all done that.
we've all done it, yeah.
Yeah.
So it loses time, it wastes a move, but, you know, you've got to be objective. And queen a5.
I like it. Also, it stops knight b5, which is another move which could be
Yeah.
annoying.
That's right, so knight b5 would be prevented. I mean, maybe he wants to centralize with queen
Oh, I see.
e5, with the idea perhaps of going to the king side.
Crumbs.
But I mean, it still feels that black's losing a lot of time here, and that's another loose piece
Yeah,
on
well,
e7.
alright.
So bishop d4 perhaps, and okay. I mean, the game goes on. It's black's very solid.
Queen on h5 is actually on a good square, isn't she?
Yeah.
Once she gets there.
I mean, there will be tactics later on. White always has to bear in mind that the queen might try and support an attack on h2.
How are the clock times? Can we see the clock times on any of these games?
Yeah, so if the clock times... well, that's a good
Oh, we have them over here. So you can see
Okay.
the black's sinking. Black's a fair bit behind on the clock here, David.
Yeah, I mean, I'm used to that situation, but
Yeah.
I mean, it's a very fast time control here. So the kids, they do get a 10-second increment after every move, but once you're low on time, you're low on time.
And you never get out of it.
You never get out of it, exactly. So often we do end up seeing mistakes towards the end game because the kids do get in time pressure.
Yeah.
But yeah, Black still has over an hour though, and White has been playing quite quickly. White has over an hour and a half. So that could be a factor maybe later on. Often games are decided between moves 30 and 40.
Mm-hmm.
That's when, the tension starts to build and players get short on time and tactics start to appear. So this one's building up nicely.
Okay, maybe just go down one more to round to board 5. So which is England against Germany. Actually, it's Oliver Howell against Raphael Kracht.
That's right. And I have a special interest in this game because White does share the same surname as me. So Oliver Howell as White. No relation.
Of course, no relation. What about James Howell? Remember James Howell?
Surprisingly, I've never actually met James Howell.
You've never met James Howell?
No, so
it's amazing.
Another English grandmaster.
Wow.
Share the same name. When I was young, everyone thought he must be my father. But I've never actually met him, yeah.
You've never met James Howell? Wow.
No.
He's my age, yeah. We were
you must have played
contemporaries.
him
We played
a
lots
few
of
times,
tournaments and so on, so, yeah.
No, I've seen a lot of games. Often I'm being a bit vain, on Chess Base, just searching for my own games, and his name will pop up.
Searching for your own game.
And no, I mean, he seemed to be quite a principled player from what I saw, quite theoretical, but I mean, you all know better. But yes, Oliver Howell, he's actually from the same part of the world as me, so he's from the southeast of England,
Right.
As am I, and it's just bizarre, bumping into the Howells. I mean, he's from a chess-playing family. His father, Chris Howell, is also a very strong player. And Raphael Krasch, from Germany.
Here for the first time?
Okay.
You have 2 German players, yeah?
Yeah. And
So how's the game? How's this one looking?
So we've started off again with an English opening, symmetrical English. So both players playing well. They both seem to know their theory. D4 is a very theoretical move.
Yes,
here.
right, yes.
As myself, as Black, I've played this setup, but I'm always bluffing slightly. I mean, for example, in the British Championships 2 weeks ago, I played this position as Black. I was hoping that my opponent didn't play d4.
Because you didn't know what to do?
Because I had no idea. I mean, I had a vague idea what to do, but it's very hard to keep tension as Black. You can be very greedy and grab a pawn with knight takes d4. But, for example, in this position, there's the move knight b5 or the move knight to e4. And, for example, the knight will try and jump into d6.
Yes.
Whoops. And if Black plays the move d5 to prevent that, then there's often an annoying check on a4.
No, I see.
For example, and knight d6 check. And this king on f8 is never a happy money. So, very theoretical opening. Black decided to take with the pawn instead on d4. And after knight b5, Black gave back the pawn.
Right.
And we arrive in a, symmetrical-ish position.
Yes.
And White decides to play e4 to kick back that knight on d5. I'm always slightly reluctant to block my own bishop on g2, but maybe there's nothing else for White to consider here. Nothing else that's too tempting, at least.
Black looks very solid.
Black does look very, very solid. So, okay, e4 to kick the knight back, knight to f6. Again, this knight on f6, it blocks this bishop on g7. I'm not so sure about that one.
You'd probably play knight b4, David, would you?
I'd be thinking about knight b4, that's right, or maybe even knight b6, so that if my opponent played bishop to e3, then I could harass him with knight c4. Threatening knight takes e3, knight takes b2. This knight on f6, I mean, we've seen in the game White has played bishop e3. Now, this bishop on e3 is a very nice piece, because knight g4, might be possible actually, but knight g4 would be met by queen takes g4. And I'm not sure whether Black can justify. I mean, this knight on d4 is hanging.
But then Black might be a little bit worse.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, Black's got some problems to deal with. White's better developed, simply. And in symmetrical positions, it often matters who has the extra tempi, who has the extra development. And here, somehow, it feels easier for White. White's always got e5 in the air. White's rooks are very.
It's a bit strange that he's chosen f6 for his knight.
Yeah,
of all the squares he could have gone to.
No, that's right. Even e7 or c7 would have.
Well, my point, yeah.
Yeah.
He's chosen the one square which blocks his bishop.
That's right.
You know?
Yeah. So I'm not so sure about Black's last move. And
yeah. So what happened after knight f6?
So after knight f6, bishop e3, and
there we are. And that's it, yeah.
And this seems to be the.
Okay, so it's a
position.
quieter position than some of the others we've looked at.
That's right. And Black's been thinking for a long time. Maybe he's regretting his last move. White's ahead on the clock by around 20 minutes. So very, very early days here.
Yes.
I could imagine either white building up an initiative if he can get his rooks to the central files quicker than black, or some mass exchanges somehow. With the symmetrical pawn structure, if pieces do come off the board, then it does tend to have drawish tendencies. So.
Okay, so
Another one
tell me,
that's-
David, tell me a little bit about the Simul last night. We had a special event last night.
Sure, that's right. So,
Tell me about that.
yeah, so we played against, what was it, 70 odd?
About 70, I think, yeah.
70, 80 kids. So there were 5 of us. There was yourself, Elizabeth Pates, Pia Kremling, Juan
Yeah.
Bellon, and myself. And we teamed up. We played in tandem, which often, I don't know, does it make it more difficult, do you think, Stuart?
It makes it more fun, I think.
It makes it more fun, yeah. I mean, we criticize each other's moves on
Yeah,
a
we
regular
do.
basis. We're trying to figure out what each of us
It was
are
quite
planning.
funny. I
And,
remember Liz was saying that I think there was a mate in two that somebody possibly missed, and Pia said it was
Yeah.
me, and then I don't know if we didn't quite establish in the end what
No,
happened.
exactly. I mean,
But,
I want to find out about that game today.
Yeah.
But there were many boards. I'd play a move thinking, we've got a winning idea now, and I'd come back a few turns later, and
Completely
we're
unrecognizable.
rook down for nothing. The kids are laughing at us, being
Yeah.
like, yeah, someone blundered. But
I made a few blunders as I went around.
no,
but,
I mean, I think we all did.
Yeah.
I lost a pawn at one point, and I didn't even realize it was attacked. And no, it was a lot of fun.
it's fun.
It's
yeah.
fun every
And
year.
some of the parents took part as well, of course.
Exactly, yeah.
Nice,
Some of
yeah.
the parents played very well.
Yeah.
I conceded a couple of draws to them. Yeah, I mean, it's 70, 80 kids. That's a lot of players.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
a lot
yeah,
of players, and it takes a lot of energy. It took 3 odd hours, and
it
hopefully
was-
the kids enjoyed it too.
Oh, I'm sure they did.
I mean, I met one parent today, and they asked me to sign the score sheet saying, I could beat a grandmaster,
Yeah.
which is always nice for.
So we lost a few.
Yes, I think we lost 3 or 4 games
Hmm.
perhaps, and I blame the others.
Yeah.
We were fine, Stuart. We were fine.
Not sure about me.
No, but I mean, the good thing about this event here in Gibraltar is we have lots of extracurricular
Yes.
things for the
Social
kids to enjoy.
program.
Exactly, the social program.
As we do in January.
That's right,
course,
yeah.
yeah.
And there are master classes, there are simultaneouses, there are lectures, there
Yeah.
are excursions, lots of things for everyone
right.
to enjoy, whether professional or just an aspiring player. So
You didn't come on the excursions yesterday, David.
I've been, the kids have been tiring me out, Stuart.
Yeah.
I needed a break. I needed a siesta. While here in Gibraltar, why not have a siesta?
Well, I used to bring you my morning coffee every day.
That's right. So,
Do you want a quick look at game one again, just to see any changes?
Sure. So let's quickly jump
Go back to board one.
to Revaliente.
Now, what has changed? This was the game where the white played the early g4,
That's right.
if you remember.
So White's trying to justify the early push, and actually I like how this is.
It's going all right for white, isn't it?
Yeah, the last few moves seem to have gone quite well for White.
Just take us through the last few moves since we lost all the
So
position,
we
David.
we left the position after Bishop B4,
It's really changed a lot.
and King H1, prophylactic
Okay.
move, getting out of this check that you mentioned, Stuart.
Yes, yeah.
Oh, me and my arrows. So King H1, very calm.
Anyway, he played it.
Queen D4 played anyway, but the problem with Queen D4 now is it loses time.
Yes.
And after Knight to E2, which actually is maybe a move White wanted to play anyway, this Knight on C3 is a bit of a
Yes, to come to g3.
yeah. I mean, it's a bit of a target on C3. So the Knight jumps back, gains time against the Queen. Queen D7.
Well, that was
C3.
your move, Queen d7, but he could have played it immediately, couldn't he?
Exactly. And I mean, if Queen D7, I would be thinking
Of 92.
of 92 as White. And yeah, and it's not just that White gains time against the Queen, but White also gains time against the Bishop now, and the Bishop's dropped back. So Black spent time going Bishop B4 and Bishop back to C5, Queen D4, Queen back to D7. And meanwhile, White's organised.
Yes.
White's got organised, and now I'd be very tempted about a move like G5. I mean, Black should avoid Rook to E8,
Oh, dear.
because now after G5, this Knight is trapped. But okay, I mean, for example, if Black were to develop with Rook to A to D8, which I'm sure he's thinking about
Yes.
now,
Yes, okay.
then White still has a couple of issues to deal with on this D file. Queen to E2, Black perhaps think about exchanging these queens. Not quite sure who the exchange will favour, but somehow White's position still does have some loose squares, loose pieces. So,
And can white play g5 instead of Queen e2?
yeah. So
After Rook
Rook A
A8.
to D8, G5, I will take you
And then you drop back.
and drop back.
Hmm.
I mean, it's still very dynamic. I mean, White's queen can jump to
Somewhere. Yeah.
somewhere. Not sure which square, but
And then rook f4 or something.
primitive. I like how your brain works,
Well,
Stuart.
it's
Checkmate.
Yeah.
Well, checkmate does end in the game. So yeah, once the rook gets stage 4, that'll be game over. But maybe black has to kick the queen back slightly, and it's not clear. I mean, the queen on g4 will get hit as well.
yes, yeah.
so-
to,
And maybe knight to e5 anyway, another outpost. And black's pieces. Okay, the knight on e8 is very passive, but black's pieces do.
black's not going to get mated.
No, that's right. The pieces do make a good impression. So
Anyway, okay, but still, it doesn't look
Okay.
too bad for white.
no, it doesn't look too bad. I mean, lots of options. Queen e2, g5.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
so we're thinking that black might play the move rook to a to d8, but
Yep.
yeah, this is another one we can check in on. He's going to have a big, say on the prizes, I guess. This game. I mean, two of the stronger players, two of the leaders.
And what
So
about
this
game
is
2, David? Just have a quick look.
So again, this is another one we.
Queen
we
b1.
left
Do you
in.
know, I was going to say to you before, what about queen? I didn't say because I thought you'd laugh at me.
I would never laugh at these. Well,
Well, that's not true. But and he's played queen b1.
Queen b1. Wow, that's deep. That's deep.
Because I was saying about g4, you know, to protect. We said about
Yeah,
the f5 pawn being
that's right.
weak. The white wants to play knight f2. He can't.
Yeah. I mean, actually,
Queen
it
b1.
wasn't even on my radar, but I like it. I like
You
it,
think it's
Stuart.
all right? Yeah.
Yeah, queen b1. It's not just protecting f5, but it's also preventing black from playing this e4 move
Right. Yeah.
that we mentioned. And yeah, it's prophylactic. It's thinking about the opponent's plans, and it's thinking about how white might want to develop next. Maybe next white can start occupying some strong squares. And the queen, I mean, queens are long-range pieces, just like bishops. They can protect from afar. The queen on b1.
You like that move?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I mean, somehow I wish this rook on a1 was.
Well, we all do.
I mean, if we could swap that rook round,
Yeah.
put it on d1, then white would have a fantastic position. But queen b1. And here I noticed that white spent more than half an hour on that one move.
On that one move.
Yeah, so 33 minutes on one move. So that's a big time investment.
It is.
But wow, I mean, maybe it'll be worth it if queen b1 does end up being a move which prevents black's plans. And,
What about b5 here, David?
yeah, b5, very natural. Bishop might end up on b7. I would want to jump into e4 now with my knight. So knight e4, attacking d6. If knight takes knight, bishop takes, and white gains a little bit of time at least. And f5's protected very
Yeah.
nicely by this queen.
I wish I'd said it. Queen b1.
Queen
David.
b, I
wish
know,
I'd said
you would
it.
have been a
Yeah.
genius. Well, you are a genius, Stuart. But I mean, no, it's a very classy positional move, actually. I mean, it prepares knight f2 as well, which was another
Yes.
suggestion of yours. So, for example, if black were to play a slow move, knight to f2, and white's pieces suddenly start coordinating very well.
Interesting.
Queen b1, wow.
But like you said, it took him half an hour to decide to play.
Yeah,
it.
so, I mean, that could come back to bite him later on if he does run short of time, but now white has a grip on the position. I'm
What
slightly
about queen
curious.
h5, David, here. Queen
Oh,
h5
yeah,
for
queen
black.
h5. Yeah, that's very logical. And it's consistent with black's last move, actually. Black last move played queen to e8. So after queen b1, queen h5 would make sense. Cutting across all my plans.
Well, yes,
Yeah.
exactly. I'm trying to...
And knight g4 might be coming next. So we've actually had a question from one of our viewers
Oh, great.
in the
Okay.
chat, and it's asking, Stuart, is your shirt an Armani?
That's a very good thing. I don't know who sent that question in, but that's a very good... I think I can see who it's from, yeah. It's not Armani, actually. No, it's... where did I buy this shirt? I think it's M&S.
M&S. I mean, you're
I
a
think
fashion
it's,
icon,
I think
Stuart,
it's
so
Main Street Gibraltar, actually, but a couple
mean,
of seasons ago. You know,
We should find out if M&S want to sponsor the event.
Well, guys, I mean, you know, it's...
You can be the poster boy, Stuart.
Yeah. Nice question, thank you. Yeah.
It's a very nice shirt, I must admit. It's not many men can pull off, you know.
Well, yeah, I think you could wear this shirt, David. I'm pretty sure you could.
I don't think so.
think you
I
could,
like to stick to my black and the white, you know, chest colours. But
After the break, we could come back in each other's shirts.
well, yeah, we will see. We'll see.
We'll see about
Not
that.
sure
you
wanna
have to
be wearing
tune
my
in.
shirt.
So don't go away, anyone.
Exactly. Full of surprises here in Gibraltar.
Yeah.
Yeah,
good.
Good question. Keep them coming. Keep them coming. That's
Yeah.
what we're here
Well,
for.
yep. We take questions from viewers, of course.
Yeah, that's right. And I mean, actually, I do think that another fashion icon in chess, Lev Aronian, I do think he's copied his style from you a bit.
Oh,
You know,
surely not.
I mean, he goes for the the shirts as well, and not many people can pull them off. But yeah, I mean, Queen H5 here in the position would be very, very logical. And now the Queen, maybe Queen D1.
Well,
Oppose those
yes.
queens. But Queen H5, it does cut across the idea of Knight F2 slightly.
Because I think we can take on F5,
Because
can't
now
we? Yeah.
F5 would be on pre. Not sure what to suggest. Again, Knight E4. F5 will be attacked. Queen to H5. Wow, you're coming up with some
It's
very
not,
good suggestions today, Stuart.
What about a move like King H1? Yes.
Yeah, king to H1.
And then maybe just take on D4 and Knight D5 or something.
Yeah,
Is that
that's
possible?
right. So, for example, if Knight G4, yeah, unfortunately, Bishop G1
Well, I know, but
might drop this pawn on F5, perhaps. But yeah, I mean, as you say, Bishop takes D4. Maybe E takes D4. Although C takes D4 would give Black 2 central pass pawns, this Bishop would be even more blocked in on G7. But after Bishop takes D4, E takes D4, this Bishop at least has some breathing space. But after Knight D5, we have a very, very complex position. Actually, maybe White's doing quite well.
yes, now, yeah.
Yeah, I was going to suggest King H8 just to get out of the way of this knight check, but then suddenly Knight F4.
I think there's a question coming in for you, David.
Okay.
If you look at the screen.
Sure, so... am I allowed to read out this question?
Well, it's,
For the younger viewers out there, you might want to go and make a cup of tea. And so I've been asked how I handle a situation where I'm playing a female opponent and I might not be able to concentrate fully on the chess game. And you know, I'm a professional player. I only look at the board. I never think about my opponents. You know, my mind's
good answer.
my mind's solely on the chess. You
answer.
know, I'm just calculating. I'm just focused. I mean, here in Gibraltar, I've played many female opponents, and
Do you have a good score against women and girls in general? Or
not until recently, actually. No.
No?
I've lost many high-profile games to. I've lost to Anna Muzichuk. I've lost to
Right.
Harika.
yes. Here in Gibraltar?
Not here in Gibraltar, but I mean, in Gibraltar, I have a very good score. I'm not sure why, but when I was younger, yeah, I mean, I've played against some of the top female players, and they're all very aggressive. They go for me, and yeah, it's hard to deal with. They're very strong, and I mean, I try to treat it like any game, any opponent, but either way, yeah, I mean, it's always an honor here playing in Gibraltar because I get to play some of the strongest players in the world, some of the strongest female players in the world. And Gibraltar is the home of women's chess. So.
It is the home of women's chess, yeah. And you think that's a good thing for chess, that more girls and women
it's fantastic.
join the chess fraternity? You know?
No, exactly. And I mean, we need more people to follow the lead, more tournaments, more organisers to follow the lead that's been started here in Gibraltar. I mean, in England, I've been trying to support women's chess. I mean, they don't get the support, the funding that they need, and the participation numbers aren't quite what they should be. So
I mean, I think even today, most, let's say, typical weekend congress in England, you'll find probably 5% of the players are female or something like that, or 10%.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And I mean, those 5 and 10%, they need to be encouraged to stay in the game. But okay.
You'd be a good ambassador. You should be an ambassador for promoting women's
No,
chess.
come on, Stuart. Yeah, actually, I mean, that's something I'd be interested in getting into. But no, you're doing a good job here in Gibraltar. How about yourself? Have you played many women players over the years?
Well, I mean, I can hardly remember when I played chess. It's so long ago.
Oh, shit. You need to come back. I mean,
I do. I'd like to.
every
come
time
back.
I see one of your games,
I'd
you know,
like to
it's so
come back.
exciting. It's so creative.
I'd like to come back. If I can find a move like Queen B1 today.
Yeah.
We'll
No,
see.
so
we'll
yeah,
see.
I mean, Gibraltar
Anyway.
in January. I hope many more women come to play. So.
The home of women's chess. Well, that was a good question, David, and I think you
very
handled it
good
very
question.
well. I was impressed by your
Thank
composure.
you. I'm feeling a
Your
bit flustered right
composure
now.
about
I
that,
feel
you
a
know?
bit. Yeah. I feel like I've been put on the spot.
Yeah, it's good.
I feel a little shy, but okay. So if we get back to the chess, at least temporarily. So yeah, Queen H5. Should we check the live position? So Queen B1.
Yeah, check the
and-
live position. I don't know. I think that might be it now.
Yeah, it looks like Queen B1 is the last move that's been played.
Maybe, I don't know if we're heading into a break. Shall we have a very quick look at the other games we looked at?
Sure.
Just to
So
catch
just
up?
before we jump into a break, we'll quickly refresh our memories on. Oh wow!
Oh, wow, what's happened? Hey, he took on b5. He took on b5.
He's reading our minds, Stuart. Queen e2, c takes d4, and queen takes b5.
Unbelievable.
Wow. So the first thing I always look for, checks and captures, and they're in. Sounds simple, but I tell this to myself during games. And okay, no checks in the position. Black does have a capture though. So should we count what's happening? If queen takes knight, pawn takes knight, and this rook's attacked. White probably has to prevent that. And equal material. Knight b6, maybe. Rook b8.
Okay.
Something should be done about that rook.
But what about e6? You take on b2?
Yeah. I'm thinking white has to move bishop c3 though.
very much.
And next
Yep.
move, LPDO, a loose pawn will drop off. Knight b6 does protect the rook on a8.
Yes.
And it does protect e6, but
Still,
now
this is
bishop
not good, is
c3.
it?
White does have the opportunity now to exchange off that great bishop on g7. And white, black will be left with some very badly coordinated pieces. So I'm starting to
Okay.
like this.
Yeah.
Queen takes b5. Yeah. Not sure what else black can do really. If the knight on c6 is attacked, white will take back on d4. If nothing else happens,
What else could you do apart from d takes c3?
e5 unfortunately does drop the d5
It
pawn.
does.
Knight to e5.
Is that possible? One of the knights?
One of the knights, maybe this one. Ooh, there's some
Because of
tactics.
f2.
Yeah,
Because of
there's
f2.
tactics. So after c takes d4, I mean, black can take on f3, but there's also the move knight takes d4.
Definitely there is.
Knight takes d4 and queen takes f2 check. And not even recapturing the knight, but queen takes e1.
Yeah.
And black is winning. So, okay, so maybe knight takes e5. Knight, one of the
No,
knights
D,
takes e5.
yes.
Probably knight d, e5
Yeah, I like that move.
is the way forward. Okay, I missed that one actually, originally. Yeah, this f2 pawn is very vulnerable. And if white can't find a productive move here, then white might...
Could
Well,
be a disaster.
Exactly,
almost.
white might be struggling. So, yeah, so queen takes b5, it's very tempting, but maybe it was just safer to capture on d4. I think we mentioned this earlier, this
Did we
variation.
look at this? Yeah, maybe
After-
we did. Yes, we
yeah.
did, I think.
King h8, just knight f3.
Yeah, we
and
thought this was nice for white.
everything's covered. So
Yeah.
c takes d4 maybe. Queen takes b5 is tempting, but slightly impatient, I guess. Knight d e5.
He has to play that move, surely.
Yeah, I mean, as we saw, d takes c3, and white was doing very well. So knight e5. Just what else? What else? Knight takes e5 is also met by queen takes f2. I don't really want to
No,
retreat.
I know, yeah.
I mean, at the very least, black can take on c3 and give white a weak pawn, but also the move d3.
It looks critical, isn't it, already?
Wow, actually, yeah. Bit of a roller coaster. One moment I thought white was almost winning, but yeah, so another event that we've celebrated here in Gibraltar this week is Brian Callahan's
Yes.
80th birthday.
How about that? Wow.
80, that's incredible.
The founder of the Gibraltar International Chess Festival.
That's right, and a big personality. I mean, a good friend of ours.
Yeah, absolutely,
Stuart,
yeah,
Brian.
great friend,
I mean,
great
he's a great guy, and as we mentioned earlier, I mean, Gibraltar's the home of women's chess, and he's been, one of the biggest proponents of that.
Well, he has been
Well,
the driving
he's
force
the-
behind
the
that, to be
driving
fair.
force.
He really has been, yeah.
No, exactly, and I mean, I know he's done probably more for women's chess than anyone in the last.
Well,
15
maybe
15 odd years.
across the world of chess. I mean,
No,
really,
exactly,
to put things in the right perspective.
Yeah,
Even things like
so-
the Battle of the Sexes. I know it's a laugh and it's a lot, but it's a great night out. That's also
Exactly.
Brian's idea, completely Brian's idea, the Battle of the Sexes.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he's full of
You know?
these great ideas. I
Yeah.
mean, I've been talking to him about his ideas for the Gibraltar Festival in over the
In
next few
2020,
years, 2020,
yeah.
2021.
And the
even.
university, chess and university, the seminar and things
Exactly.
like this.
And I mean, anyone out there looking for ideas about how to promote chess, how to innovate and get chess players involved, yeah, I mean, Brian's the guy to talk to. And yeah, I mean, I can't believe he's 80 though. I mean,
Yeah,
he's
I know. Full of life, full of energy, full of
energy,
ideas.
yeah.
Yeah.
Makes me feel old. And
I can't
mean, his
imagine you at
energy
80,
is-
David. What
I-
are
I
you going to be
don't
like at 80?
I don't think I'll make it there. I mean,
Come on.
the stressful chess games that I play, I mean, I'll be lucky to get to 30, let alone. But no, I mean, Brian's an inspiration to all of us. And
Yeah, absolutely.
it's great that he's still here, he's still involved, and we're lucky to get to see him every day. So, at the tournament. So, yeah, Brian Callahan, shout out to
Yeah,
you.
and there's some nice photos on the website.
That's
Actually,
right.
that were taken the day before yesterday, I think it was.
Yeah, we had
here
a
at the
surprise,
Colette. Yeah, a
surprise
surprise
birthday party for
sort
him.
of luncheon thing, and well, some great pictures there.
Yeah, some balloons, cake.
One with
everything.
you and Liz actually, and Brian. Have you seen that picture?
That's right,
Yeah.
yeah. This was yeah, bit of a Liz sandwich, but no. Brian, yeah, happy birthday, Brian.
Yeah.
So, okay, so on board 3, it looks like Black's doing very well if he finds the move knight e5, and he
Yes,
has.
and he's played it
just
well.
played it
Well
after
played, that man.
a bit of a think, but yeah, I mean it's worth it.
Absolutely.
That's the time. That's the moment to invest your time. When,
I agree.
When pieces are attacked, there are tactics in the position.
And get it right.
Exactly.
Get it right, yeah.
I mean, that's a critical moment. If he doesn't find knight d to e5, then maybe Black's struggling a bit. So
I think that's the
Full
key
swing.
thing also, David, for like improving or how, I know it's maybe a bit obvious, but how you spend your time. You've got an hour and a half or 40 moves or whatever it is with increment,
Yeah.
how you apportion and when you spend the 20 minutes on a move and when you spend 5 minutes,
yeah.
Those things are really part of maturing as a chess player, isn't it? And
Definitely. And the more experienced you get, the more you are able to sense those critical moments. I mean, it's very hard for us to say, for example, when we're analysing with the kids, it's hard for us to say, okay, spend your time, just think, sit on your hands. But actually, it's just when to spend the time.
when to spend it,
I mean, they don't need to spend time every move. I mean, often there'll be an obvious recapture or they'll be just kind of continuing their plans from earlier. But yeah, critical moments like this when there are captures, there are threats for either side and there aren't that many options, then that's when to think, okay.
You should wonder how long White took on
Marathon's
Queen
out.
takes b5. Can we see that?
Yeah, so Queen takes b5, I think White spent only 3 minutes.
Right, you see, well, there you are.
Yeah,
And those 3 minutes, maybe you should have thought for
that's
a
right.
little bit longer,
Yeah, so I mean, White still has over an hour and a quarter on the clock left, and I mean, an hour and a quarter won't help you if you're worse, if you're struggling. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that's the moment I would be thinking, okay, I've got 2 great moves. I mean, I've got 2 tempting moves here: C takes d4 and Queen takes b5. I would spend maybe 5 minutes on each, comparing them, and then making that decision. And
Yeah.
okay, even if you spend 10 minutes, that's only a fraction of your time, and if it gives you a good position,
That's such a key moment. Yeah.
yeah, so knight d to e5 has been played, and I'm sure
Well,
White
we'll see
will
what
go
happens.
into the tank now, realizing maybe that he's maybe jumped the gun with Queen takes b5. So.
Okay, should we have a little break there, guys? Does that sound good?
Yeah,
we can have
that's
a break.
right. So-
Thanks for watching.
Thank
Dave
you.
will be back in about, maybe 5-6 minutes?
5-6 minutes, yeah.
Yeah. Possibly in each other's shirts. We don't know yet. We can talk about that.
I think definitely. I think
Definitely,
we're going to
yeah.
do it.
Okay,
we're
let's
going
do
to do
it. Let's do it. Great.
But yeah, thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
Stay with us. We'll be back in a few minutes to bring you more of the action here.
And
at
keep those
Gibraltar.
questions coming. Thank
Yes.
you. See you soon.
Cheers.
Bye.